Oakbridge After Dark is produced by 97 to Now Productions.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Oakbridge Dark. I am Mark, the executive producer of Oakbridge.
And I'm James, the director of Oakbridge.
And with us tonight, we have a very special guest, Jamm The Artist.
Yeah!
So, Justin, welcome to Oakbridge After Dark. You are our first guest here.
Uno, baby.
I'm excited to be here. I'm happy to be here.
Good.
Grateful to be here.
So, of course, the first question that we have to ask is, who are you? Tell the people that are loving this series, and tell them who you are, what your involvement was, and just some background.
Sure. I'm an artist. I have been making art as long as I can remember. Matter of fact, longer than I can remember. I have to ask my mom, like, when I started. The story is, when I could hold a pencil or a crayon or whatever I could hold on to, I've just been drawing ever since. And I've always loved creating like worlds. I've always been fascinated by sci-fi, mythology, historical information, just stories about different places in the world and how they came to be and how that set the stage for the world that we live in, and different civilizations that are not always in the limelight, and that carried on into my studies in college as an adult. And I'm a teacher. I teach art at a high school. I do workshops and paint parties and all that good stuff. And I got an email or a direct message from Ashley before I knew her, before I didn't even know it was you guys. I was like, they said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing cover art for an audio drama?" I said, "Yes, I love audio dramas." In my head, I'm thinking like, Murphy's Inc., 97 to Now. I had just gotten into listening to audio dramas the past couple of years because I love it. It was like, I remember radio shows existing when I was a kid. Obviously it was the 90s, so it wasn't as popular, but I started listening to Wastelanders, the Marvel one, like Wolverine. Like, that one was great. And then from that point on, I was like looking for other ones. For these, I met you guys through Lawrence and Diego. So we moved out to Fremont, and I found this comic book shop called Green Machine Comics. It was in a mall, and they were like, "Hey," I showed them my artwork. Like, "Oh, you want to have your art in the shop?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And they're like, "You got to meet this guy, Lawrence." And they started talking about Lumpia, and I never met him at the shop. Like, he was doing signings there. Like, whatever happened, I missed it. And my wife and I were out one night on a rare night. We had somebody to take care of our child, and I was like, "Hey, there's this movie. I want to go. Let's go see it." The Lumpia movie was playing at the theater, and I said, "Let's go." So we went to the theater. It was like a late night show. Mm-hmm. Lawrence was there. Was the producer, and he is the producer, one of them. And like, we watched the movie, and he stayed. Like, legit, movie was going till like 1 o'clock at night. He stayed there. We were the only people in the theater, and just to talk to us and tell us about the story. And so I met him, gave me like a sketch. And we just, we made friends, and we started working together. And that's how I connected with you guys, because you brought us out to EerieCon, met you all, and I talked to James about doing another project that we have in the work.
Someday.
A holiday project. I won't say much more.
It will be out this year for sure, but
it's they're ready to roll. So, so I met James, talked on the phone, and I met Mark when we were in Reno for EerieCon, and it's been a blast the whole time.
No doubt.
And so Ashley hits me up coming back to Oakbridge, and I don't know who Ashley is, though. I'm like, whoa, somebody that I don't know hit me up and asked me to do something. I was like, yeah, So we started talking, and then I was like, yeah, this is the like market rate, whatever. Da 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 da. We started talking, and then I'm like, hold up, dots are starting to connect. I'm talking to her, and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to Mark. I'm like, Mark, like, hold on, I know these guys. Like, what? Okay, never mind. all right, this is what we can do.
Let me give you the okay, that's cool. I'm gonna give you the friends and family discount.
I'm gonna give you the week good, you brought me out to conventions,
the we cool, the we cool price.
Yes, the we cool. Oh, I do know you price. Okay, your people's with my people's. All right, let's do this.
Well, and the hilarious part was she actually reached out to you unprovoked by me or James. I didn't know until after the fact.
Because she was totally completely of her own accord. So I'm like, I don't even know where she saw my stuff. Like it had to be online.
Well,
somewhere.
the thing is,
she heard us talk about.
Yeah, we talked about
leading
you.
up to ErieCon and after ErieCon.
Yeah, we talked about you, and we talked. I think we showed some of the stuff that you did. Like I know, I don't. You know what? I don't think I ever posted that video.
The Michelangelo.
Yeah, of the print that you made.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I know she then went to your website and checked it out, and she was "Hey, I think this guy's style that I'm looking for." And then she reached out to me and said, "Hey, so I'm going to hire this guy to do art, but do you think you can help me, with the finance?" And I'm like, "Well, how much are we talking about?" And she starts telling me, and I'm like, "Who the hell are you hiring?" and she tells me, and I'm like, "Hold on.
I know.
Let's see if we can try and make a deal or something."
Let's make a deal.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I've been on the journey of work price, trying to do the thing and be like, okay, this is what it, this is the value. I'm like, no, we're sharing value. I love you guys. Yeah. So that was fun.
Absolutely. And
you family now.
Yeah. So I did the Kaboom poster. It's yes, of course. Yeah, here you go.
And I also did hit you up earlier this week. So
yes, I'm making another one for you for the for an addendum.
Yes. To the evening.
Yes. May the party continue.
It's going to be a fun event. That's all I can say.
I'm excited.
Look, at this point, if you're not here for this, you're missing out on a real good time. I told my dad, I sent my dad a text message with the Eventbrite in a text. I was like, "Yo, I need you to be here."
Yeah, you want to be. This is going to be.
He can hop a ride with Justin.
Does he live in California?
Yeah, my dad lives in Hayward.
Well, yeah, that's my neighbor. So, with me, Lawrence, Diego, and your dad will.
I'll pile into him.
Throw him in the car.
Small little hatchback.
Yeah,
if you could throw my dad in the car, that'd be amazing. We'd love to see it.
We'll have a couple of guys sticking out the window.
He's built like a brick. So, James, you're up. You got the next.
No, so so just how did you come up with some of your concepts for some of these pictures? I've seen them all. I
know
I've seen them all. And
unfortunately, we're not going to be showing them.
No, we're not going to be showing them here because we need to hold on to these because I'm telling you, once you guys see these images, they're insane, and you did a phenomenal job on. How did you come? Did you just kind of?
I will show the one that we've already shown.
Right. This is from the first. This is the first episode. So kind of walk me through your.
All right. So Ashley and I started corresponding on Discord. And so I talked to her, I asked her some questions about just she told me the vibe of the show. It's 90s. I know
we went through that.
I love the vibe. I know the vibe. That's my jam. And then she told me kind of the mood of the show, the tone of the show. And I'm like, okay, I got the feel here for the mystery, for the suspense, for the fear factor, for the just the tone of the show. And so she literally would tell me hey, I kind of want a scene of this lake. And I have, she shared with me the storyline, the plot thing. So I know what's going on in the story. And I literally fun storyboard trick. If you're an artist, I took a Post-it, within, I don't know, probably minutes of conversation. I'm like, here it is. Here's the comp. Right. And it's I don't know. I love working with Ashley. I like working with people, and it's when they say oh, I want this scene of this lake. I'm like, okay, creepy lake, full moon in the background. There were some other elements going on that I had in mind. We made a couple of adjustments, but essentially it was creepy Bob Ross. Here we go.
Nice.
Scary trees.
Scary little trees. Oh,
a little eerie boat over here.
Yeah, a little empty. All right, the man is not in the boat. Okay, guys. Where is no fishing, and lit the sign with that whatever that dark substance is on the sign tell you, don't go fishing, don't go swimming, and don't come around these parts unless you are not well.
Don't come around here.
Yeah. So
it's funny because that you said that, because I remember just watching you work at ArieCon, just watching how when you would do you were doing a couple commissions, how you asked them questions about like, so what are you looking for? How do you want this to be? Things like that. Until I understand how this came to be.
Yeah. So like I did the Post-it note, which was just ink on a little Post-it note. I sent Ashley a picture and she goes, yeah. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna flesh it out. So I went, I got my watercolor paper, threw down like ink, and this is like I showed her the ink, and then I was like, all right, we have some options with the color of I'm thinking the quality of the image and the efficiency of the project overall. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna probably keep it pretty monotone so we get these together, get them done, and keep like this, that late night creepy in the forest type of vibe. So I did. What did I do? I did digital colors on it. So I actually scanned in the ink. So I still have like the original work. That we'll be able to share. Like I'd love to put it together as like a little compilation of the artwork. I have a little Oakbridge art book. That'll be super cool. But yeah, that's kind of how it went. And so she would like just give me like, hey, this is the title. And she wanted the title in every art. So the title of episode 1 is No Fishing. And so, I was like, okay, so we're having a no fishing sign in front of this lake. And so that's
the thing is too, and he says, you see that sign over there? It says no fishing. Like that's one of the lines in the show. So
yeah. And I have the script, but I tried to not read it all because I was like, no, I
will tell you, I as the producer, I was involved with every script point where rough draft, putting them into script format, giving them to writers with some notes. I really let Ashley handle the majority of that. And from that point forward, I as well, I tried not to read. And the hard part as the executive producer is now we're at the point where the episodes are getting finalized and I kind of have to listen to them to make sure that, ultimately what James is doing with Joe actually sounds good. And so it's like night and day between looking at the script versus hearing the thing.
Also, how do you think I feel
on Murphy's Inc? Well, yeah, because on Murphy's Inc, I was in every single recording session. I was directing the majority of the time. And so there's just something different about not being that in it. And so it's interesting, now going back and looking at your artwork after having heard the episode, and it fits that much more, and you don't even realize it because you haven't listened.
Yeah, I haven't listened yet. I have read snippets of the script. So depending on which one I was doing, like I read a little bit more of the script for a little more context. Like there was an episode that had a specific location. And I'm like, okay, so I want to throw something in there to speak to that place. And so it was things like that. So it was really great. Like usually Ashley would tell me kind of the concept, the idea of what she wanted. And then I'd see it, right? So like I kind of see it in my head and then see it and do it. So like I'd do a sketch and then share that with her and we would move from there.
That's a genius at work, people.
Absolutely. So you did 10 pieces, obviously, one per episode for season. Without obviously giving too much away, what was your favorite piece to work on? Do you remember the episode number?
I do. No, I know exactly which one it is. And it's hard to not like give anything away, but episode 9 is mine. And
Episode 9. That's the one. I think she shared that one. I think she shared that one early.
Really?
I think she shared that in Discord with just the writers.
Yeah, I don't think it's
public. Oh, did she just share that with the writers?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She did. Yeah, she just.
I don't think it's public. And what she shared, I don't know if she shared the final one with everybody because I did a few sketches and she shared those. I'm sure Marcus.
I certainly hope so because I've already thrown the logos and stuff.
Yeah. But the one that has the episode title. There were some images beforehand when I was just working out some concepts and some ideas, and I shot those over to her, and she was super juiced. I want to put it on a t-shirt. I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Well, and to your point, the hard part about an audio is that it's audio, right? And so the nice thing about working with guys like you or Lawrence and Diego or even Clone Ones, working with all of you guys, it's great because you're taking this purely audio media and putting visuals to it that work. And so when I saw 9, I was like, oh crap. I had that's not at all what I had envisioned, but it was perfect. And so
I was like, that image, I was like, huh? And I was like, oh hell no. No.
And I wish we could like say more. I wish we could like give more
I do
away.
too. I do too.
You're gonna have to wait for that one, bro. All y'all got to wait for that one.
That was my favorite. Like I had so much fun creating that image. Like I enjoyed a lot of them. Like I enjoyed I had it with 4. I think it's 4. It's another place one, but like I threw some stuff in there, to kind of emphasize the feeling of the place, and it worked out well. I had a good time with the artwork.
Did you do them in order, or did you do them like? Did you not?
Mostly, like I jumped around a little bit because she gave me like the concept kind of. She's like, hey, this. I had all the titles. I was waiting. I had to wait for information about certain episodes, so I held off on the ones I didn't have full information on until I got that from Ashley, and then. But the ones where she just kind of like, I had the title and I knew what the image needed to be. Like she told me kind of what she wanted. And I was like, okay, this is what I see. And, sometimes we had to troubleshoot stuff. She was like, she wanted a certain thing and working it out so that you would have the title in there in a legible, visible way. So we made some tweaks and some adjustments so that would work. But I really enjoy that. And just like hearing how you all feel about it and the response, like it feels good to make something for people that makes you feel good and helps bring a vision to life that we both kind of share. It's a really collaborative process. It feels like productive and valuable. And, there's a yes on the other side of the interaction. It's really nice.
Absolutely. And the hard part for me, thinking, okay, I don't want to put the 97 to now logo on this. I don't want to put the Oakbridge name on this. But, I have to because it...
Yeah, it's like a comic book cover. You have to you got to have the barcode. You got to have the title. You got to have all that stuff.
Yeah. But like, I think there was only once where I didn't end up having to put because you already had it on the design.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
And I loved that because...
That was awesome.
Because it's hilarious, when I had all 10 of them done and ready, I'm like flipping through them to make sure things look lined up and not covering anything right. And when I get to that one, every time I have to stop because it's so comparative. But I think that might be probably my second favorite.
Yeah, that one was fun too, because that one was like I really had to get details and nuances. I was like asking her questions about stuff because everything in there is connected to the story, and I wanted to make sure that.
Well, and the crazy thing about that one, you literally created the world on paper.
Yeah, like that was fun. And I was like, that's why I had to ask her. I'm like, okay, so where is this? Where is that? I need to know relationships between things.
And to that point, like something that you have to think about is if someday there is ever a television series made, or if someday there's a tabletop game ever made, that's probably the map.
Yes.
Or it's insane. So
that was fun. I enjoyed that.
I love what you do. I think you did a fantastic job. And with that in mind, I have to ask: are you going to be back?
Oh yes, hell yeah. We already did it. We already signed it. She's already sending me ideas, and And I think I'll make things a little bit simpler for you, and I'll throw Oakbridge. So I'll work it into the artwork.
Even better.
Take something off the plate. I'm gonna have to think about design choices.
Yeah, just make sure one of the corners I can throw the 97 to now, and it doesn't take over anything. Okay, so you said you read very little of the scripts,
right?
But was there anything that kind of jumped out to you from what you did read that maybe you caught and you were like, oh, I didn't see that coming, or did you not get that?
I didn't read it like, let me go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I didn't read it in sequence. So I really was very disciplined about, let me go in and get exactly what I need. I don't want to ruin this for myself because I
get that real quick.
Medium, I love stories. I love narrative. I love all that. And so part of me, after I did it all, was like, well, maybe I'll read the whole thing. But I didn't. I held off. But there are, season 2, I'm like, okay, I might need to read it. And then, I don't know. I want to see how it informs the art. But I like experiencing it, in the audio format so I can see. But I definitely, and I think going from audio to visual is really, I don't know. It's a lot. Like if you're an artist, a lot of times I'm listening to music. I'm listening to something that got that vibration. I'm aligning myself with that in some kind of way, tuning to that, and then putting it on paper. Right. So music and art and sound and music and the voice, I think they kind of they inspire each other. So I really love it. I love the medium. I don't have anything sticking in my head because I didn't go like through the story as a turn, but there are definitely turns.
There are turns.
It's not a straight road down Oakbridge Lane.
Yeah, this bridge is a little rickety at times.
A little rickety, you might not want to step on some of those planks. And it's very 90s. It's great.
Right. So let's talk about just, I don't even know, man. I just like hearing the stories, man. How long have you been a teacher, man? I know you said you were a teacher. How long have you been doing that?
So like teacher of record, teacher at the school, I've been doing this about 5 years. But all in all, I started teaching art about 10 years. Yeah, I happened upon it. I've been an artist my whole life. I went through like a really psychologically and emotionally difficult time. I had worked in youth development before that. And I stepped away from it. I was like, if I ever go back to working with kids, it'll be right. So I happened to be driving a friend who was also a youth educator at the time to like this block party, and I drove her and her students there, and it was just this block party outside of a new youth center, and I was just out there having a good time. And then there was sidewalk chalk, so I'm drawing on the street in sidewalk chalk. The guy walks up to me and he goes, "Hey, you can draw a little bit. You want to help with this mural?" So I volunteered to help finish this mural that they had been doing with the kids that was going to go up on that street. They offered me a job to teach, so I started teaching art at a continuation school. And then they started giving me more classes. I ended up managing and kind of helping create a new program with that organization. And I worked there for about 5 years, running an after school program, teaching art, pushing into schools, some schools that didn't have art at all. This is out in Oakland, California. So I was out there teaching in Oakland and San Francisco, and this organization does these giant murals. So the funny thing is that this organization does this curriculum called Self as Superhero. Right? It's called Artisting, and they like have kids create a superhero character in their own image and likeness that addresses like a social justice issue. These heroes don't use violence to solve their problems, but they have powers, and the kids do like a life-size self-portrait. I was like, oh, this is cool. So we were doing that. Kids, really enjoy that process, and it's a lot of fun, and it helps you think about problems in our society, but also solutions and like big imaginative solutions. Like this is not necessarily real world stuff that you can do, but at least you are thinking about what you could do. You're imagining something, and maybe there is some way to close a gap to do something similar in real life. But just exercising that imagination and stepping into a place of empowerment, because when you're creating art, there's no bounds to what you can do. You can create any world you can imagine. That was the first mural I did like on my own by myself. Like I did some with that organization, but a brother I met while I was working there hired me to do this in the rec center in the neighborhood, like in West Oakland. And this is right when Black Panther came out, and I love that character. I love Black Panther. This is so this was a really fun opportunity. And I also, like, if you look close at this image, like there's a lot of story in there. Like different pieces about like Oakland, about Wakanda, and kind of them coming together. Like you can see the kind of the standoff between T'Challa and N'Jadaka back there. And I wove in like a lot of symbols from different like languages that are indigenous to Africa. So like, hieroglyphics, Adinkra, a dire pattern. And I put, you don't see it, but like around that corner there's like a whole key that goes like, hey, this symbol means that. Can you go find it?
I'm trying to get around.
Oh yeah, you can't. There's no way. It's literally its face. It's looking at the mural the same way. We can't. It's not in the picture at all. This is like that ledge kind of blocks it. But
if you remember it in the first Black Panther film, it started out in Oakland. So
yeah, it started out in Oakland. So it was perfect. And he did. Oh my God, I remember. So my wife was pregnant when we went to see that movie, and our daughter was just kicking. It was like the movie.
She was excited. She was excited for that film.
It was an event. Okay, they had drummers, they had a DJ. It was like DJ Davey D, and we had like West African and Central African drummers. Like it was a party. It was a really, and it was at like the Grand Lake Theater, really beautiful historic theater. Yeah, it was up in there. It was just a whole experience. I saw that movie, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. It was amazing. And it was just really to see that story and the way that they did it. It just hits home in so many ways. Like I was just looking at those characters as different aspects of identity, like even in and of themselves. Like I'm thinking like a character in a movie could never actually fully encompass everything it is to be a person, right, that we experience on the day to day, but they can represent different aspects of it. And I was just looking at, T'Challa and N'Jadaka, Killmonger, and like thinking about the different parts of the psyche that they represent in that story of like one who's very hurt and very traumatized. And it's like, look, we have this power. We got to take over everything. Forget these people. They hurt us. It's time to take control and wipe them out. And T'Challa's been very protected. He has all these resources, and he's like, it's kind of like that inner part of yourself that hasn't been corrupt, right? It was just a really interesting story, and I think one that needed to be told, and one that folks in our community could really vibe with, and the kids. And I made an active choice in this one not to really put them in like a battle stance or like them fighting, because it's like there is already, there's enough violence in the community where I was working. I'm like, look, let's have them royal, let's have them regal, let's have them ready. But I was like, I don't need them going in there saying like, oh, I'm gonna, it's like, let's chill. Let's be peaceful. So like that was an active choice. And I know sometimes people don't like it as much when they see the characters not in battle mode. But on that one, I did that on purpose. And I'm thinking like I had a newborn baby, just thinking about the world in different ways. So that's kind of where I got it.
So clean, bro.
Thank you.
And the lettering and everything too. Oh wait,
yeah, because the guy told me, he said I wanted to be called Welcome to Wokeland. I was like, all right, let's do it.
And I think you have a spirit in your room, because I keep seeing a little orb floating around. No, like legitimately, I've seen it 3 times now. Like fly by your head. Like
it could be some ancestors floating around in here. I don't know. Oh, Spidey, Miles.
Yeah,
I had a good time with that one.
It feels very into the Spider.
Yes, definitely, 100%. Like when I saw that movie, that became my favorite animated film, and I saw Across the Spider-Verse, like the more recent one. I didn't think that the sequel was gonna one up the original. Like that never happened.
Come on, bro. Talk about it. Talk about it.
I don't know. Back to the Future.
Okay. Back to the Future. Yes, you're right. There's a few, but it's rare. Usually you get a 1-2 punch and it goes downhill, or you get a 1 and then they do the second one because the first one made money, but they don't do it with the same heart and spirit. It's not like
it's about making that money. Yeah, no,
This one it's about the story. It's not just about the paper. And I'm like, I was sitting there at the end mad. Like, where is the next one?
Bro.
Now.
I mean, literally, I was in the theater. I sat in the theater and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, like, you got a short? You just got a short not that long.
Okay.
But the thing is, that's not even. I mean, it's the same story. But it's not really connected.
It's not the movie.
It's not the movie. I need the movie.
There like, you stopped it here. Like,
yeah. And where they just cut it off. I was like,
because they already
leave this movie. You can't leave this on a cliffhanger.
That's how they get you to come back for the third one.
Oh, yeah. It was coming back for the third one regardless.
And I respect the strike. Look, okay, I understand we got that delay. It was needed because people are wilding with the AI. But yeah, I was like,
what are your thoughts on AI art?
So it's a tough one. So this was the first lesson we did this year in my class. Ooh, Wolvie, I did that. I posted that today.
I'm on top of my stuff, man.
Man, you are on it. And I heard when you guys talk about X7, James, you have to.
I know.
Yeah.
You can do it. You can do it without finishing the previous. But so we were talking AI.
Yes.
So the first lesson I did this year was what is art? Okay, so I showed my student a variety of images from like comic book covers to fine art museums, Jackson Pollock, and like Van Gogh, all these
Jamm The
broad
Artist.
range. I did sneak a drawing in there. Couple of them. I didn't tell them. I gave them zero content. I gave them images only. I gave them some conceptual art pieces as well. Okay, so like I don't know if you guys ever saw the banana taped to a wall that like went viral at Art Basel, or we'll get to it. But so I was like, hey, all right, guys, This is your job. You are a gallery and you are doing your opening exhibition, and the title is This is Art. Look at each one of these images and decide whether or not, well, first they had to come up with their own definition of art. And I'm like, okay, this is your definition. Based on your definition, go to each piece. Does it qualify as art according to, and so they would go around, they would talk to each other, and they had to make tally marks like, yes or no, yes or no. Like I had Duchamp's urinal in there. I don't know if you guys seen that one. A conceptual art piece back from the Dadaism movement where they were just kind of like making fun of the ritzy art world. So they got all these pieces, no context, right? So most of them were like, this is art. You know, if it was a painting, more realistic. Some of them, they like debated the Jackson Pollock, the concept of the banana on the wall. They were like, hell no, that's not art. The you know, like they were looking at Jackson Pollock like, I can do that. That ain't art. All these things.
Do right? That ain't art.
Yeah, because they don't think of themselves as artists, right? No, most of them anyway. And then it was funny. There was like a debate about the banana taped to a wall, though, because of their the definition they had was something like expresses an idea. He's like, well, it could express an idea, you know. So there was debate, which is what I wanted. Day two, I give them context. I tell them this was made by this person at this time, blah, 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 blah. They go through it again. They have to vote again. Okay, and so most of them, you know, there was controversial ones with the conceptual art. There was this piece where an artist, he had done a piece to juxtapose a disparity in income between two European countries, and like he stuck plastered money to a canvas of the average annual income in both like nations, and one of them was huge, one of them was tiny. And the museum commissioned him to do it again. They're like, here's the cash, go make it about these two countries. And he was like, okay. He gave them a small canvas, a big canvas, both blank, titled it "Take the Money and Run," and said that this is the art piece.
That's awesome.
It's like, y'all are just literally throwing an annual salary of somebody in two people, like one in these countries. You're just giving a hand that, and like this is where your resources. They're like, all right, bet. So took the cash. They sued him. Okay, this hadn't happened yet. This was still like in motion beginning of the school year. So they ended up suing him for the money and saying like he didn't fulfill the commission or whatever. He ended up having, I believe, to give the money back. But that was a statement. And you know, but the kids were like, blank canvas, that ain't art. Like, you know, so it was good to have the debate. And then day three, I found a county fair. This image had won the art competition county fair. And it's like this elaborate, you know, beautiful, super high rendered image. And it won the contest, but it was produced by AI.
Yeah.
It was competing again, all hand-painted, hand-drawn, you know, direct human to canvas, direct human to paper artwork. And so I gave them two questions, like, one, is this art? Two, like, should it have won? You know? And so most of the kids were like, it's not the same. It shouldn't be competing against human, like, hand to canvas, hand to paper art. Like, they're not the same thing. So, and that's kind of where they left it at. And then I followed up with, if you turn in any AI, you're going to get it. But because I want you to do hand to hand. Like, this is what we're learning. We're not learning to prompt AI. We're learning to draw and paint and do that. So, and it's interesting because they also have Chat GPT. So like they're getting busted Chat GPTing, you know, English and history assignment. But to me, I'm like, okay, this is definitely an image, but is it art? Is it like where do we, you know, you can craft an image, right? So like if you go and the AI, if you are generating an AI image, like you're saying like, hey, do this, do that, do the other, you're kind of in the position of a commissioner. Like you're commissioning work from this robot. But then you're getting the credit for creating it as like creating art. Like the guy won the contest because he prompted the AI to create this image. So I'm like, it's an image, but is it a work of art? Is it something that comes from the creativity of the human spirit? Are we channeling ideas and using imagination? And, you know, it's a very new tool. And it's something that is very like, it's controversial, right? It's like, as an artist, I have to look at that and go, well, damn, is somebody going to still pay me for art when they could go prompt a machine?
Yeah, like I saw there was another, like this guy, he did enter a contest and he actually purposely entered with an AI piece.
Yeah.
It was a photo contest.
Right.
And he purposely entered with an AI piece just to see how they would judge. He didn't tell him it was an AI piece, but it was like a photo contest. And
just wanted to see
just to see how it would be taken in. And it ended up getting first prize, but he didn't take it because he was like, I didn't actually do that.
Yeah, so it's like it's in a really new space. There's not a lot of regulation on it. Like I've played around with it. I was like trying, like making images with it feels completely into me as a person because I'm an artist. This is something I like to do. It's like, I can't remember. I saw some video Sylvester Stallone talking about. He's like, now we got AI so people can put their brain in a pickle jar and have the robot. Like,
but do you find that it might be useful for helping to create inspiration?
I've thought about that. I thought about, okay, maybe I can use it to make a ref. Maybe like it is a tool that's not going anywhere. And I think because it's so new, it's like there's different, it's like kind of an abrupt change. And throughout my lifetime, like the growth of technology has been crazy. Like I grew up with landlines, payphones, radio. And then all of a sudden, oh, we got handheld phones at home. Then we got pagers. Then we got cell phones. Then we got I was on the internet like, oh
man.
Now we got now
you've got mail.
There, like you've got mail. I'm pissed off at AOL for taking like a couple of minutes to load some stuff, and now it's like boom,
instantaneous,
instant. And it's just so new. It's like, how do you feel about it? Like so I try to imagine. Sometimes I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe this is a tool. Maybe this is something that can make life better for people, for me. Like, what would I be doing with this if I was a kid right now? Like, I would probably play with, just like I played with the tech that I had. Like I was going into my dad's an electrical, so we always had PCs. Like we're PC household, no Mac. Apple was an offensive word in our house. So but on the PC you can manipulate this. So I would play like computer games like Sin City, Oregon Trail, whatever it was. But I would go in, find the image file, and I would change them in MS Paint. So I started messing around with digital art kid, not really thinking about it, but I'd like go in MS Paint, pixel art, like Mario, think like Mario 1 level stuff. Yeah. And I would go and change it. And then I'm like changing the way the game looks. I've got the character looking, I got the buildings. It was just fun. It was just like, that was available to me. I remember making like silly audio phone, like prank calls between using movie lines from Arnold Schwarzenegger and like Forrest Gump, or just random stuff. And I could just do those. That was the tech at hand. So like, what would I be doing to play with this instead of, necessarily being like, no, I'm not touching it, not playing with it. Because that's also kind of mirrors my experience with digital art. Like I was willing to play with it and do whatever I wanted as a kid. But when I became an adult and like when I started taking my art craft seriously and learning to paint, learning to draw, and doing this stuff. Like, I don't have a degree in art. I didn't go to art school. It's research, trial, error, things I can learn from people online. And my mom is an artist who taught me fundamentals when I was a kid. But like, I stayed away from digital. Like, I wasn't doing digital art until COVID because I was teaching and I had to teach online, and I couldn't, the camera just was garbage. I couldn't use it to like show my paper and show the kids what I was doing. So I got a Cintiq and I had to like screen share my work. And that's when I started doing the Ninja. Like I did that. I think I did the first one in class one day. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I like it. So like, to learn that new medium, I went back to stuff that I loved as a kid. I grew up with Ninja Turtles and all those characters and stuff. And so it's definitely a new tool. It's definitely one that I think needs some regulation, because when it comes to what people can do with it, like, it's insane. Like the way it's changed over the past couple of years, and the fact that it's trained on stuff, like just anything it can grab off the internet. So I'm like, oh, has my art been used to train it? I don't know, and it won't tell you. Like I've asked it, I've been like, hey, where did you get what references did you use to make this image? And it just gives a generic canned response of like, oh, I was trained, blah, 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 blah. But I won't give you a specific thing. And I'm like, I could have it make an image of Batman standing on top of a building, and it'll never say a word about like DC, Ghibli, nobody. Like, it's not going to say like, oh yeah, I used the cover of issue number 53 when Batman was standing on top of a gargoyle. Like it doesn't tell you, So there's no way to know. Like I saw some websites where you can try to find out if your stuff has been used to train, but and when they start making money on that stuff, then it's another thing. Is like, you're not getting credit for something that people are capitalizing on. So that's where it gets, I think, into the hot water. It's like people playing around with it, doing it for fun, just making stuff just to make stuff. Like, sure, whatever. But
yeah, like I saw this guy on TikTok. He was like, oh yeah, I want to make this just make this picture, and then I went back in and created this, and then I created this on there, and so it just kind of got he just was trying to make the picture more outlandish, and at the end,
Yeah.
it is very outlandish. It's very good for what it is, but it's not like. But I'm saying, like, if somebody were to like say, oh, like I want that, I've been like, nah, bro, you can go in, type the same things he did, and get the same image, bro.
Go make it. Like, I mean, I've seen some really cool stuff. Like, it's doing insane things that I would never imagine that a robot or an AI would do. It's like we're on the tip of Star Trek type stuff. So it's definitely this
the irony about that statement, though, is that in Star Trek, they got to a point where they didn't need cash anymore, right? And that people were able to pursue their dreams, such as being artists or musicians. And so it's almost like we're using this technology for the opposite intention. It goes against Gene Roddenberry's vision.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. It's like, yes, definitely there's some things that are not good for humans to be doing. And maybe we can get some AI, some robot to take care of that stuff that, is really risky or dangerous or, counterproductive.
Look, like when I saw some of this stuff, I've seen some of the ones like that have facial expressions and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, nah, bro,
we don't need that. Nah,
I was like, nah,
we don't need these looking like humans.
That's what I said. I was like, did you not watch any like '90s movie whatsoever? '90s, like, '80s, '90s movies whatsoever?
None of it. It's like, are we really here? I'm like, this is starting to feel iRobotish with those.
Yeah, Terminator status, bro. Skynet.
We don't need that. No.
All right. Well, Justin, what do you got coming up?
Coming up, I have several conventions. Excited about that. Excited to work on Deebs with Lawrence and Diego. Excited to be part of IC Sound Studio. So I've got a children's book coming out. I've been working on this project for a couple years, and I'm in the formatting stage, which is a stage of the book that I don't know much about. I'm good at making the pictures. I'm good at making the images, and now I have these file size and PDF boundary parameters and all these things. We're doing like a self-publishing situation. And so, in the time that I could have made several illustrations, I have been going back and forth with this self-publishing platform to get this file to work. So
we talked about this the other day when we talked, because you were saying like, I got to get it. It has to be this size.
Oh yeah. I was talking to you.
Yeah, right. It has to be this size, but it all has to be in one PDF, and the images is already.
It's like I'm dealing with, I created the images very similar to the way I did the Oakbridge ones. It was like I had sketches and I took it in, and then I did it digitally. It was a really great experience. Another one of those things where it's like, hey, I created the image. I saw the vision. I love, the image. You love the image. It's like, okay, great. Now, as an artist, I can always go and like, oh, I'll add this, or I'll add that. So I have to call it done at a point. But yeah, this formatting thing is new for me. But that's coming soon as I can get it to accept the file and get it to the right size. I've got Oakbridge Season 2 coming up. We're going to start working on that this summer. I've got some other commissions I'm working on. I have quite a few irons on the stove. But yeah, Oakbridge Season 2 is coming. I've got I don't know if you guys saw that Muhammad Ali painting I did last year.
Bro, that is your picture in my phone. Like that is the image that I have in my phone. That when anytime like I call you, you call me. That's the image that pops up, because that was so clean.
I really love doing that one.
Are you doing the second part you were telling me about?
I'm doing another athlete in that style.
Oh, okay.
So somebody hit me up who saw the Ali piece and was like, "Hey, can you do another guy? This is my favorite athlete." Yeah, there it is.
That's so cool.
And kind of like the mural that we were looking at earlier, I wanted to weave in his story, right? So, I've got his phrase, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. So he's surrounded by like the honeybees and the butterflies. His home state is in there, the year he got the title. So like I threw things in there that represent him, his religion, his spirituality, some of his, you can see there's peace on the butterfly wings because he was not willing to go to that war. And he lived in the, here in the United States. So you see that in there. It's just wanted to throw in things that let you know who he is. That's what is it? Kentucky State Flower right there, because that's where he was born.
What inspired you for this style?
I started this style around the same time that I started teaching. So this was around 2014. And I was at a point in life where I really needed to shift my perspective. I'd realized, like, the way that I was thinking, living, like allowing just negativity to kind of consume my thoughts and my feelings brought me to a really dark place. And like just a place where I didn't feel good. I wasn't feeling myself. I wasn't, really, I wasn't doing well at all. And so when I stepped out of that, creating art was one of the first things I did. And I was like, I want to shift. I want to do something different. I want to, instead of adding shadows to a light surface, I want to add light to a dark surface, And it was like thinking about the idea that everything in the universe, everything that exists kind of comes out of dark. It's like when children are conceived inside the womb in the body, it's dark. There's no light. Your thoughts are inside your head. We are on a ball floating through the vastness and darkness of space, right? So it's like I want to bring out the light. I want to do something different. I hadn't seen anyone do it that way before. I was also inspired by thinking about stuff I was learning about spirituality, metaphysics, and like the chakra system. And I wanted to represent like the higher self, like something that has you look at us in a different way.
Bro, you are hella deep.
That's where I was at, man. That's what I was thinking. Like my students would look at it and go, "Oh man, you must have been baked. Like you were on shrooms or something." Like, bro, no, I don't need the drugs because this is what I do. So, and they were all portraits. So I was thinking about just representing ancestors, representing, like, I would say, like, my students. The first one I did was like this guy with a high top, like a high top fade, and I called him the student, because it was like, this is inspired by all the young Black men that I've worked with, all the boys, the masculine. I was like, because I came from like a community in education where folks took this strategy of like speaking to the potential of the student, and they would refer to them as like king and queen, prince and princess. Like, you have this greatness within you, right? Like, I don't believe in the whole idea of there should be a political monarchy of king and queen telling you what to do. But if you think about yourself and like, okay, I'm in control of me. This is who I'm in control over. This is who I'm the king of, myself. I can, I choose what I do, whatever. But it's like, how do you tap into the best of yourself? What are those qualities of royalty that they're supposed to embody? So like being honor, integrity, wisdom, innovation, compassion, empathy, so that's kind of what I was putting into those pieces when I started doing them. And none of them were initially based on specific individuals, but I have started to do some likenesses. Like, I have one of Lauryn Hill.
Nice.
I called it Re-Education, Resilience, based off of that beautiful Miseducation Lauryn Hill album. And like the image that I based it on, I think came from that Unplugged performance she did, like when she came kind of back on the radar. Just looking at her as an example of like stepping into that higher self, staying in your creativity and doing your thing that you love, and just the lessons and the wisdom and the music that you make. So like, there's some that are like that, where it's a person like, but Muhammad Ali was the first one I did that was like a full figure head to toe. So I was like, yeah, because that was the next step. I was like, okay, I've done a bunch of these head and shoulders. And somebody had told me, you need to do one head to toe. You need to start doing the full figure in this style. And I was like, all right, that was a few years ago when I did Afro comic. There was like an art teacher came there, and he was like, yeah, you're right-handed, aren't you? I'm like, how do you know? All your faces are pointed that way. It's like, oh, okay. So I got to start changing it up. And he also suggested, like, start doing this, applying this to the full human figure. And I love figurative art. Like, that is like, the human body is just amazing and beautiful, and all the shapes and the way everything comes together, and that dynamicness of that movement. and I think I've always been into
I don't know, man. You don't want to see James's human body.
that.
You don't want to see yours.
No, you don't want to see mine either. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, like I think
We
one
all
of the things
keep
like
our clothes on.
no, like, and actually the crazy thing is that he's even good with other mediums. He does like you think his hand drawn stuff is amazing. Like he has some woodwork.
Oh yeah, I do. I learned
some-
that too. Like I came from my mom. Like I learned that growing up.
Yeah, like he has a
Sculpture.
whole sculpture head from like wood, and it's
I showed you.
yeah, you showed
That
me
one's
that.
clay. The head is.
Oh, is that clay? Oh, I thought that was wood.
Yeah, the Africa one that lights up.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one.
Okay, yeah, I bring that to the market. Oh yeah, I do. Probably going to be back out. I've been on a hiatus holiday,
And I assume that's around the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yes, Bay Area. Yeah, I did this market out in Mountain View a lot last year with friend Lily. So I'm part of an artist collective group called Art of the Bay. Speaking of which, we have a meetup tomorrow where we're doing kind of volunteer figure drawing where everyone is clothed, but because we're at a pizza place, but we we're going to volunteer to go up and hold a pose for a few minutes and we'll draw each other. It's a really fun event, and I met some good friends there. Yeah, head to toe, fully clothed in costume.
It changes the way the head looks.
It does. Yeah, and that summer stack that's going to happen. That's a big market. It's going to be out in Hayward. I did it last year.
So you say these are like farmers markets?
No, it's actually makers markets, art markets.
Nice. Okay.
So it's like craftspeople and artists. You're there with the booth, offer what we create to people. So sometimes I started treating them similar to the conventions. So like I'll do SketchUps there. So I have like the thing like, hey, people ask me, oh, can you do this character? Can you do that one? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And that makes it fun because I'm there drawing and I'm not just sitting there like, is somebody going to buy it? I hope so. Like whether they do or not, like I'm drawing, I'm painting. So it's a blast.
Still keeping engaged.
Yes.
It's awesome.
So we will see you on June 8th at Powerhouse Comic-Con.
Yes,
We will then see you at the Silver Age Comic-Con, July 13th and 14th.
Yes.
You will be heading to San Diego Comic-Con.
Correct.
Unfortunately, we won't be there with you this year.
This soon.
That's the hope.
It shall be.
And will you be with us at Con?
Kaboom.
Con for a Cause.
Con for a Cause Nerds United. Will you be there for that one?
Okay, this is new information for me. When and where?
Well, we can blame Lawrence and Diego for that one for not. But that is in August.
Okay.
Also up here, formerly known as ErieCon. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't have a date on it, but send me the date and it shall be.
And then, of course, Kaboom
Con. Yeah.
Shortly there, followed by the Kaboom. So you will be around for that, of course. You are actually a guest. You'll have your own booth at Kaboom Con. You won't have a shared with Lawrence and Diego.
We are spreading it out for you.
We're spreading it out. Yes, I hope we're still neighbors.
Oh, you will be 100%. That you can't get away from there.
That might not be entirely. Might have somebody between you. But if I do have somebody between you, it's only to bolster your guys' legitimacy with, I don't know, somebody from maybe C or Marv.
Oh,
okay.
So
that could be cool.
Yeah. So yeah.
I see what you're doing, Mark.
Well, we all rise together, right?
Indeed.
So, Justin, I want to thank you so much for coming on and being our very first guest here on Oakbridge.
Man.
I'm honored to be here.
And for those of you that are not enjoying this live right, you're listening to this after the fact. We are actually recording this episode on May the 8th. So you're not hearing this episode until some point after the season aired, because that's how we're doing this thing. So yeah. So while we may be saying some things that have already happened, thanks. And we hope you enjoy this series of Oakbridge After Dark, where we get some behind the scenes with some of the artists and actors and talent involved. And we look forward to more interviews to come. And stick around for the end credits here, because you'll get to see who we're going to have on next. Justin, anything last before we sign on off?
Just thank you guys. I had a blast. Thanks for hanging out tonight. And had a good time. Looking forward to season 2.
All right. Thank you all.